would go to my grandparents lived with us, my mother's parents. So I spent a whole lot of time with my grandmother, my grandfather. My grandfather would teach me about things if there was something I needed to learn. Running a lawnmower. They didn't have lawnmowers raised in Cairo then, but he learned over time. So he could tell me about a lawnmower, fixing a flat tire, doing all sorts of things, and that's how I learned. Nowadays, as a 72-year-old grandparent, I go to my 13-year-old to find out how to use my phone. I mean, all of a sudden, we've lived all this time and we don't know, I don't think I know near as much as my grandfather knew, because technology has just changed and life is just so much more complicated that seriously, my 13-year-old, 7-year-old can do stuff that would scare me to death. So change is here. Most of it we can't control, some we can. But we're going to work on that. And we don't want it to be like the bottom one down there. That's Miss Scott and I hiding behind something. We start telling y'all about all this stuff, and y'all start throwing things. We really want you just got to kind of work through some of it. Some of it will pertain to all of you, some of it will pertain to some of you, but all of you have something that pertains to you. Okay? Let me talk about competitors just for a minute. I didn't know much about making school visits. We've taken kids where, but I've never really kind of done it. I've never been the one who had a site visit coming there. So I got talking to some teachers, and I looked at some of our competitors. And who are our competitors? Who are our competitors in the area?
Hermitage? Hermitage?
Hermitage, big. That's a Cadillac of competitors down there. Hermitage. Who else?
Cheekwood Botanical Garden. I volunteer at Cheekwood Botanical Garden. They do things for kids all the time.
Yeah. Master Station, Travelers Rest.
Yeah, you got
other historical sites.
Yeah, well, you got the Discovery thing in Murfreesboro, got one in Nashville. What surprised me was the farms that have turned in and now doing school visits. They got the corn maze and all the kind of things. On the handouts, you've got a little outline of kind of the key things that I've talked about. My email address is on the bottom. And if you don't know how to Google or don't want to Google, if you email me, I will send you about 4 or 5 links to some of these farms and all. I had to have one of the teachers send them to me, and I'll just forward you kind of what I had. But I mean, they got some snazzy looking stuff, I'm telling you. They put some time into it, and my son says the one in Murfreesboro, he said it's just to the nth degree. The organization has to start when the first child steps off that bus. When we started our camp, I told the staff we're going to have 30 kids, okay? 30 kids. Well, Jim, I said, no. We told the board we're going to have 30, we're going to have 30, okay? So they were short, about 12 kids, I guess, something. So anybody remember Miss Mary Chaffin had the mission up tonight? I called Miss Mary and I said, Miss Mary, I need some kids who want to go to camp. She said, no problem. So I'm up there on where the hill is. I was on the hill at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night before we left on Monday morning, trying to find aunties and grandmothers and mothers and everybody else, Polaroid pictures of the camp, and accept the consent forms to send their kid to camp. So now with the staff and I, coming from my military background, I think we need to have some rules. Oh no, Jim, we don't want to get too complicated. We want things to kind of flow and kind of do. So I had to go back on Monday morning for a meeting about the street fair we used to have in the fall. So when I got back about 1 o'clock, the kids came that morning, got up to Centerville to the campground, Methodist campground up there. Nobody. It looked like a science fiction movie when I drove up. There was no one in sight anywhere. There were 2 lodges, the Paul Cecil and the Nickel Lodge. So I go into Paul Cecil, and there's Jim Frost sitting at the table. Rule number 22, no speeding, no kicking, no fighting, no running, no. I mean, so I said, well, where are the kids? He said, Tommy's got them corralled on the back deck in the other building, and I'm shit the rules up. We finally got them down to 12. But the secret of working with kids is you start with a lot of control, and then you loosen it up as the day goes on. So the control's got to be when they get off that bus. That's when you have to have your plan really together. And that's when you let them understand, and you set down some basic rules, and then as you go during the day, as if the kids that perform well, then you kind of loosen up, and those that don't, you have options to get them away from the group. You're not gonna try to correct their behavior while what's going on at the station's going on. That's just not the way you do it, okay? We've tried that, it doesn't work. We did a 5-day, 5-night wilderness backpacking program. Now, if you think Camp Sun, get up about 20 miles from the telephone up in the North Carolina, Tennessee border, 13-year-old girls and boys, and run them through with Mother Nature. But I tell you, when I go around now, and somebody, who is it does the buttons here? Sews the buttons on? Who does it? We were talking at the last, and talking about, the children came back later and said, oh, when he got home, that he sewed on buttons at home. Remember that? And all tickled to death about sewing
We had
on.
that in kids camp last year.
Yeah, okay.
And they
Yeah.
learned to sew. That was one of the things that they did, was to learn to sew buttons on. And then we also had some that learned to sew that made things, even took home to their parents.
So a little boy came back, just tickled to death. Well, that's, when I walk in some of the stores around Lebanon and see kids that went to camp or went through the backpacking program, and they recognize you, they want to say, oh, that's such a great time, and I'm backpacking with my kids, I take my kids hiking. That's what it's all. It's not worth the hoot today to do it. It's worth later when you run into the kid and you find out that you did have a positive effect on that child's life. Two things at the bottom of that list that I want you to think about. Now, we're going to talk about some techniques and traits of different children age groups tonight, how things have changed since we were a kid. We're not going to get into a lot of detail, but we want you to ask questions and comment, because as we set up, there's no sense in us coming up here and talking about something that you don't need to know, okay? And I believe very much that we're trying to hear things, even if it's only part of the group or half the group, whatever. But that's that second part of it, which is the fact that giving us feedback by asking questions and entering into discussions is real important. It's to your benefit. We were talking about this before in the office down there. If there's an incident that occurs, whether it was a severe or not, we just say that something comes up that catches the interest of somebody, and I'm used to dealing with Medicare and Medicaid fraud, so I'm used to FBI and Office of Inspector General type criteria, but it's the same thing throughout. If you come back and the defense is that, well, we trained the person, then they're going to say, that's fine, but how do you know the person understood what you were saying? How do you know that brought about some change in the way they were doing things? Well, you can have one of two ways. One is to be able to say, well, we have a discussion period afterwards, and it's reflected here on the notes that the group discussed it, talked about it, so we felt that everybody had an understanding and brought up things. Second is you have a test. Now, since we were on federal probation and volunteer because we had a social worker decided to make up a client visits, a pretty severe thing, we wound up on 5 years of probation according to the government. So we always gave a test. And I would say the people that don't show up at the training, that have to do it by the video, are going to have to take a test, because you can't have a discussion with the computer. So it'd be best for everybody who showed up for training. When I did the training, it was true and false. And I'll give you all a hint in case y'all get any tested. When I come up with, if you're a good teacher, you don't put out a lot of false